Okay. Okay. Can someone tell me right now, are we good? I just want to make sure because if it does it again, then unfortunately the stream will probably have to be delayed. And I don't want that. Maceo, what's up? Is everything looking good on your end, on my end? Hopefully so. I don't know if it's YouTube. Has YouTube been tripping for you guys lately? Because YouTube's definitely been tripping for me, and I've kind of noticed they're doing a lot of changes, and it's messing up some things. It's working for me. What's up, Freddie? Okay, it's working for you. Yeah, I've been noticing like a lot of like stuff with YouTube lately. It's pretty weird. I don't know if they're changing stuff. One time I thought YouTube was broken, but no, it was YouTube. I meant Wi-Fi was broken, but no, it was YouTube. Yeah, YouTube was down last night. So yeah. But now that we're back, hopefully no more technical difficulties. Sorry. Um let's get into the discussion, shall we? Let's talk about the New York Comic Con stuff. Marvel was there, Marvel Television, Marvel Animation. You know, we had some updates for obviously you're familiar with Spider-Man, X-Men 97, Daredevil Born Again, Season 2, Vision Quest, Wonder Man got a trailer, actually technically 2 trailers, more like a little teaser trailer than the official trailer. And am I missing anything else? I don't think I'm missing anything else. So, I was trying to show off the document that I used for the video, but I don't even know if I even wanna risk that because with YouTube acting crazy right now, I don't even know if I even wanna share my screen. The last, you said Marvel has some good projects to present in 2026, but I have most doubts. The most doubts I have is about Wonder Man and Vision Quest. That's fair, you know. I know I've been seeing a lot of people kind of unsure about Wonder Man, and I understand why. And a lot of people are saying like, "Where's his powers at? Oh, why didn't we see his powers?" I think what they're doing, and I'm not. This is just kind of me thinking. I think they're trying to hide his powers as much as possible in order to show just how crazy this show is going to get. I mean, it's a meta take on a superhero story. And I know there's people who think that, oh, well, they're Marvel. They don't have to do a meta take on that. But for me, I think what people forget is that Marvel, before any of the comics before any of the movies and stuff, Marvel was diving into many different genres in the comics and stuff. And there are like some meta characters throughout Marvel's history that are movie stars and have done TV show references and stuff like that before. So this isn't really like a new concept that Marvel just so happened to take on. It's just something that's always like been a thing. It's just that now we're getting a show that's sort of like that. For me, the way I took Wonder Man, just kind of looking at the trailer, is I looked at it as like the studio. I don't know if any of you guys have seen the show, Seth Rogen's show, The Studio. It's really good. I really like that show. And I that's the vibe I got with that. And I think that Wonder Man might be a project that may shock a lot of people. And I'm just trying to I'm gonna give it a chance and check it out before I, say like, "Oh yeah, this show's gonna be horrible. This show's gonna be trash. I have no interest in it." Which I understand people that may have that sentiment. You're free to have that judgment. But for me, I'm gonna try to go into it. I'm gonna see what it's about. If I like it, I'm happy that I liked it. If I didn't like it, it wasn't for me. It just wasn't my cup of tea, and that's okay. Um, no need to go on an all out, war on other people about it. It's just a show at the end of the day. You guys are saying, what's going on, Duke? What's up? We're just talking about Marvel television, Marvel animation stuff right now from New York Comic Con. What's up, Michael? Welcome in the chat. Did you know that Andrew Garfield's suit is technically silver, too similar to Toby? I did I did hear something about that. I mean, the fabric and stuff is pretty much very similar. Pretty much every Spider-Man suit, for the most part, has a similar fabric. So yeah. The last you said, I mean, I have more confidence in Jeff with Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man and the new creative team for Daredevil season 2, and the same team that made the second season of X-Men 97 and the Punisher special. Yeah, to me, like, if you were to go down the list for me of like most anticipated projects, I think the Marvel animation stuff is, you know, the top. It's the top tier, just based off of what they did with the first seasons. Not to say that Daredevil Born Again isn't, it's up there too, but with how X-Men 97 season 1 just did, and You're Familiar with Spider-Man just did, like, for me, um I'm just more excited for the animation projects than I am to the television projects, but that still doesn't mean that I'm not that doesn't mean that I'm not excited for the live action ones too. Because I mean, like I said, Daredevil with the creative team now that they got now, and just kind of seeing some of the things, I've seen some things. I did see the trailer that got out, and it looks interesting from what I saw. It looked interesting. So we shall have to see. Also, Jessica Jones is back. So we already have one member of the Defenders back. Are we going to see the other members show up? I hope so. Mike Coulter, who plays Luke Cage, he says he wants to come back. I'm sure Finn Jones, he would love to come back as Iron Fist. Though I know people don't like his Iron Fist. I'm not a fan of his Iron Fist. But if there's anyone who deserves a redemption for how he was done, I think it's him. So I hope that if they do bring him back, that they give him the justice he deserves, because I feel like his own show didn't do him justice. And I don't fault that on the actor. I just think, the writing just wasn't there. And, hopefully they can redeem him if he does show up in Daredevil, or maybe they decide to do like a spin-off with the Defenders or something down the road. I want to see Wonder Man. I do too. Well, we only got a few months, January 27th, so it'll be here before we even know it. I'm excited for Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man and X-Men 97. So am I. I'm super excited. Toby's suit in No Way Home was different because his old one came apart. Andrew's suit was the same one from Amazing Spider-Man 2. Yeah. Toby's suit had already worn out by that point, so they had to make it somewhat similar to what he had, but also different because again, the material. How you don't know how long that material's been there for years. It's gonna deteriorate and it's just not gonna hold up. Like it did all those years ago. Which Norman Osborn is the most evil in your opinion? Well, right now, I mean, you're familiar with Spider-Man's Norman. We haven't really seen the evil from him right now. Granted, we have seen some of his sinister, devious ways, yes, but we haven't seen him go full, complete evil yet. So right now, I still stand with William Defoe. I mean, live action, animation wise, that's something I have to sit down and think about. But I mean, comic book Norman Osborn is just on another level of like craziness. You know what I mean? So I'd have to go with obviously comic book Norman Osborn just for the fact of all the different storylines and stuff that man has been a part of. He's done some things in his life that is just like, how are you still here? Like, how are you still getting away with some of the stuff that you have done and that you are doing? So that's my opinion there. X-Men 97 ended with a cliffhanger. Yeah, I mean, obviously, we're going to see the X-Men. They're going to be scattered throughout different time periods, which I mentioned in my video in the trailer description. That was what was shown. And um, I I did see the trailer. Like, I didn't want to see it, but I did end up seeing the trailer that got out from that. And I will say there's some exciting things there. I don't know if I want to talk about those things, but for those who know, like there's like some really exciting things to come for the next season. And that just the screenshots that I did see get me very excited. Up next, Luke Cage and Iron Fist, for sure, for sure. I wouldn't be surprised if we end up seeing them in season 2. I think that would be really cool. You were asking about where's the Spider-Man 98 continuation? I mean, there is a comic right now. I know it's not the continuation people want, but you got the comic right now. I mean, who knows, right? If the comic sells well, who knows? Maybe they will do a Spider-Man 98 show down the road. But as it stands right now, it just doesn't seem like they have any plans. I think the comic does it. And I've read the comic, don't get me wrong. I just the artist, and I'm not trying to disrespect the artist in any way, but I just don't think the artist the way they made the faces of the characters in this just looks off. You know what I mean? Like Peter's face just looks off in so many frames. Mary Jane's face just looks off in so many frames. And I'm not a comic book connoisseur by any means, but I think they could have gotten a different artist to do the art for that. Personally speaking, that's just my opinion on it. And that's not me disrespecting the artist again. I just think the art in the comic just looks very off and it just doesn't fit the style of the 90s show in my opinion. You Yeah. Do you think they'll release an Avengers Doomsday teaser in theaters at the premiere of Avatar 2? I've been hearing rumors of that. I've been hearing rumors of that. I want to tell you the truth. I really don't want to sit through 3 hours of Avatar just to see a Doomsday teaser. I'm going to be honest with you. I really don't. I don't like the Avatar movies. I think the Avatar movies are very overhyped. They're very boring to me. I've tried watching them so many times and I've went to sleep. I've fallen asleep on them. I just I get why people like those films. They're just not my cup of tea. They're just not my cup of tea. And that's how I feel on it. So I really don't want to go see Avatar 3 just for a Doomsday teaser. Just drop it online. Just drop it online. Can you believe it's going to be 2026 in 3 months? Yeah, I mean, it's. I feel like we just started this year and already we're all in the end game. We're in the end game of this year. And it's just, man, this year flown by. Like, so much has happened in this year. It's been a blur in some cases, but then also it's kind of been like a fever dream, especially with me and just kind of the channel this year. My first two interviews that I've ever done, such a very big moment. Shout out to Jeff Trammell and Eric and Julia Leewald for giving me that opportunity to do those interviews. And then some other things that I can't really talk about right now that you'll have to look for in the future that I'm currently working on. It's just like, wow, like this year has been a very productive year, but this year has also been a very like hard year for me too. And I'm sure it's probably been a tough year for some of you guys as well. I'm sure you guys have a lot of things that you're trying to do, and things that maybe you guys have gone through. So just know that this is only a season, and things will get better. And I know that's very cliche, but I'm a strong believer that things will get better. And yeah, I'm hoping 2026 is a lot better year. I mean, 2026 is going to be stacked. We could sit here for hours and just talk about the releases for 2026. We got Spider-Man Brand New Day. We got Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man Season 2, Spider Noir, X-Men 97, Wolverine, Rise of Hydra, The Odyssey, the Mario Brothers Galaxy movie. Like, there's so much coming out next year, and we haven't even touched the surface of it yet. And it's going to be insane. I just don't know how in the world I'm going to be able to keep up with everything next year, because next year is going to be full of so much entertainment goodness that I'm going to have to work overtime. Like, that's just how much stuff is coming out next year. Hey, you're back. Hi, I'm back. So New York Comic Con is still on? No, New York Comic Con is ended. It ended Monday, I believe. I don't count me on that, but I believe it ended Monday. Hopefully, we see a crossover with X-Men 97. We see a Spider-Man crossover with X-Men 97 season 2. That would be cool. I mean, they did do a crossover back in the 90s, so if they kind of wanted to bring back the 90s Spider-Man for a crossover in season 2, that would be cool. I just don't know, granted the story with how they're doing season 2, I just don't know how they would be able to do that. You know what I mean? There is a way. There is a way. Because I mean, they just gave us a little small scene of all the different heroes, and that's all we needed. Like, that scene right there at towards the end of X-Men 97, the first season, I like that because you're establishing world building, but you're also establishing that yes, other Marvel heroes exist in this universe. It's not how, to the fair criticism of the MCU that a lot of people have is you don't really get to see all the other heroes. They're kind of just you're oh they're kind of just like, on their own separate stories, but they're not interconnected. They're not really in the know like you would think they are. They may hear rumblings of certain things, but they're not there. You don't see them. But with X97 and with Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, what those shows do so well is the world building. And that's what I appreciate. And I hope that with Marvel in the future, with the MCU, they can kind of take some inspiration from that. And, they don't have to do it all the time. They don't have to do it in every movie, but just every now and then, just to let us know, like, hey, we know these other heroes, they exist in New York. They exist, in other places. So we know they are here, like they're in the same city, the same universe. So yeah, I hope we see Avengers versus X-Men in X-Men 97 season 2. I don't know if we'll see that in season 2, but with the scene with Rogue and Captain America, that is enough right there to kind of leave breadcrumbs into the future. Like, hey, if you guys want to see us do this, we might have something for that. So We might get Avengers vs. X-Men, but I wouldn't count on it not season 2 or 3 because that would kind of intertwine with Doomsday. And from the rumors of Doomsday being an Avengers vs. X-Men type feud, I just don't know if they would want to intertwine those two right now. So maybe they do that for like maybe season 4, because I mean they are in talks of season 4 and 5 right now. So that could be something that they could do in those future seasons. Bro, how's it possible that we're 3 months away from finishing the year? I have no clue. I really have no clue. You said I'm gonna try to catch up with your guys' comments. You see, let's see what you guys said. Were you guys saying something about, okay, you have the first issue of Spider-Man 94. I like it. Still waiting for my second issue to ship along from the first issue of Tales of the TMNT. Okay, you got the Tales of the TMNT comic. Have you read it yet? Let me know. Oh, you said you haven't gotten it yet, but I'm sure you'll get it sometime. I definitely do want to check out that TMNT Tales of the TMNT comic. I only ever seen the first Avatar. I don't want to see the sequels. Freddie, you said I tried watching the second Avatar, Way of the Water, and it only made it halfway. Yeah, like I said, I get, if you like the Avatar movies, cool, but they're just not for me. They're just not my cup of tea. When could we possibly see a trailer for Spider-Man Brand New Day? I say best bet is Super Bowl. Next year, Super Bowl is going to be packed because there's so many trailers they could highlight. But I would say sometime next year for sure. I don't think they'll drop one, at the end of the year. It's more likely that we get a Supergirl trailer at the end of the year than, at least in my opinion, because if they want to kind of go off the same marketing strategy as, Superman trailer that dropped at the end of the previous year. Then we got another trailer, and then they dropped like one last trailer, I think, before the movie came out. So they might be going on the same path with that. So maybe we could see Supergirl at the end of the year. Again, that's just my prediction. I don't know anything on that. I saw the Avatar movies. They were really long and very boring to me. Yeah, I feel the same way. I feel the same way about Dune too. I tried getting into the Dune movies, and I was so lost out of it. It just wasn't for me. Oh yeah, totally. It goes by so fast. 2026 to, yeah. It it this year went by quick. 2026 is the year I turned 21. Hey, that's awesome. I think they're gonna put Brand New Day trailer in December. They said it's possible. Spidey, MJ, and Flash Thompson appeared in X-Men '97. They did. So again, there's a lot of doors they can open. Tobey Maguire, I hear, will be in Doomsday. I hear that there might be a Spider-Man 4 after Secret Wars. I'd imagine. The first part I heard too, because Toby was seen in London a couple weeks ago. And people were kind of be like, okay, is he going to be in Doomsday or Brand New Day? I don't think he needs to be in Brand New Day. That would overstuff the movie. Granted, we got a lot of stuff right now. We got the Punisher, we got the Hulk, we have all kinds of villains. We got Tombstone, Scorpion, all types of different villains are going to be in Brand New Day, right? So, and Yelena, she's going to be making some kind of appearance as well in Brand New Day. So I just don't think adding Toby in Brand New Day would solve any purposes. Again, it would just take away from Tom's movie, and to me, that would just overstuff the movie. Now, if it was for a post-credit scene, then that would be different. But I think it's more likely that we could see him in Doomsday, but we'll have to see. Spider-Man 4, though, after Secret Wars, I don't know about that, and the reason why I say I don't know about that is because I feel like after Secret Wars, they wanna try to cut ties with any of the previous stuff from the legacy years, right? So, the X-Men stuff, they wanna tie that up. The Ghost Rider, Nicolas Cage stuff, they wanna tie that up. The Blade, the Blade, Wesley Snipes stuff, they wanna try to tie that up, and then move into the next phase where we get a new X-Men, we get a new Blade, all that stuff. So for me, it would be cool, and I mean, still, it's Sony, so granted, if Sony wanted to say like, "Hey, we want them in Doomsday and Secret Wars, but we don't want you to kill them off because we still have other plans with them," then okay, I could see that being a possibility. But at the same time, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Did you guys hear they're thinking of making a Spider-Man 4 with Tobey Maguire? Yeah. Um, I forgot what his name was. The guy he's pitching for it. I know the actress for Mary Jane, they were asking her about it, and she would love to come back if the story is good. So all I'm gonna say is it's possible, you know what I mean? Like it's possible that they could have, granted it being Sony, if they want to continue those stories, they can. But again, I'm 50-50 on it just due to the whole Secret Wars of it all. Like, so that's something we'll have out. To be honest, Mary Jane's aunt in Spider-Man in the Spider-Man 90s is the worst. Yeah, she is just a grouch. She is a very grouchy woman, like, especially towards Peter. And I don't want to spoil the comic for those who haven't read it, but if you have read it, then there is a moment that is kind of satisfying. Um, so yeah, I've never seen the Dune movies. Don't want to. Yeah, I like I said, the Dune movies just weren't for me. I tried so many times to watch them, and I just fell asleep. I said, all right, yeah, I can't do this. Originally, Sam Raimi wanted Sir Ben Kingsley to be Vulture in Spider-Man. I believe that's Spider-Man 3. Yeah, Spider-Man 3. Sadly, Sony said, nope, we want Venom. So Raimi kept Sandman and added Venom, but cut Vulture. That makes, you know what? That makes a lot of sense because then I know with Spider-Man 4, the plans were to have Vulture for that one. Um, but obviously Spider-Man 4 never got made. Have you read the first issue? I have read the first issue. I've actually read both issues that have been out so far. I was going to do a comic breakdown of those, but I didn't know if that was what people wanted to see. But now that I see from the Spider-Man Noir comic I did, the breakdown I did for that, I might have to do more comic breakdowns. So I might have to do one for Brand New Day, like before Brand New Day comes out. I might have to do one for the actual comic. So if you guys want more of that kind of content, let me know, and I'll definitely do that. I might do one as well for before X-Men 97 comes out. I might do the Age of Apocalypse comic, kind of like a breakdown of that. I think that would be cool to kind of splice in some like comic related videos before shows come out just to kind of have like a basis of where some of these ideas, or maybe I could do like the Grant Morrison new X-Men run. Maybe not do the whole comic run, but maybe like the first issue of the series. Just let me know if you guys are interested in that, and I'll see what I can do. The actor, the villain for CW Black Lightning, who voiced Tombstone in the Spider-Verse. Yeah, that is to me, Carter, that's the best casting of Brand New Day for me. That's the best casting because I always said in my head after watching him as Tobias, I said, this guy, he can be Tombstone. He needs to be Tombstone. And I'm so glad that someone out there, the casting, whoever in the casting, listened because he's going to kill that role. And somebody on Twitter made a post, and I just said, this is going to give me goosebumps if they do this. Imagine Tombstone and Kingpin. That scene right there, that is Oscar worthy right there because you got two talented actors who are going to show up and show out. That scene right there, if they do that in Brand New Day or another future Spider-Man film, that scene right there might it might actually have me pass out in the theater of excitement because I'm a sucker for confrontation in movies, and just the pair up with that is just like the insults, the comebacks, the back and forth is just gonna be great with that. Then Spider-Man 4 is canceled in 2011 because Remy just quit, but decided to go with John Malkovich to be Vulture. Yeah, yeah. I know we're getting MCU Scorpion and Brand New Day, but can we all agree that Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man gave us the closest thing to that? Yeah, I mean, because it granted, it took us this year. It took us this long for us to finally get Scorpion in at least live action, but it took us only one season to get Scorpion in an animated series. And from what I heard, Michael, they're actually taking some inspiration from the Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man version of Scorpion. Like he might actually have a suit similar to the one in the animated series. So that tells you right there, like Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man is given some influence to, the live action movies. Because I mean, that's what people were saying, like after the show came out, and even during when the show had episodes out, people were saying like this is how Tom Spider-Man should be. This is how Scorpion should be. So now they're taking those liberties. They're taking in that feedback of what people have been saying watching that show. And I think it's just a testament to the animated shows, in my opinion, is just a testament to Marvel testing the waters for certain things, right? Because when you hear about Avengers versus X-Men, right? You know what suits the X-Men are gonna have in the movie. Like they're gonna have the classics Jim Lee design suits. Why? Because they're iconic and because those are the suits that people resonate with. Why? Because the comics and because X-Men the animated series and X-Men 97. So those are going to be the suits that people are going to jump up out of their seats in the theater and get hyped for because those are the suits that again a lot of people resonate with the X-Men. Um those are my favorite suits, and I know that's a very like classic thing to say, but those are my favorite suits for the X-Men. You know, there's obviously like some other costumes, like for Storm, the black and gold suit that she has. Love that one that we saw actually saw at the end of the finale of X-Men 97. I love that suit. Um, so obviously you got some here and there. Obviously Cyclops, where his hair is not exposed, he has more of like the dome with the visors, things like that. The very classic retro, even going before Jim Lee's era. You know what I mean? Those suits people are very much recognizable in. Now, granted, season 2, they're doing the Grant Morrison suits, which I'm gonna be honest, I never really liked the Grant Morrison suits. Just I'm not a fan of the big giant X's on the jackets and stuff. I feel the same way that I do with about that I do with like Spider-Man, right? Like Spider-Man doesn't need to have a big giant spider on the front of the suit. Granted, it works for certain designs for the suits, but I don't think every Spider-Man suit needs to have like this gigantic spider just on the front of the suit. On the back of the suit, that's fine because again, that's usually where that is. But you know, obviously the Insomniac suit very cool. I like that. Miles's vibranium suit, like that. But I just don't think that every Spider-Man suit needs to have just a big giant spider taking up, 90% of the suit is needed. I think people, will know who Spider-Man is just by seeing the colors and the lenses and the, you know, all that stuff. So yeah. That's why I know people are kind of complaining about the You're Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man classic suit for the small spider symbol, but I actually don't mind the small spider symbol. And who knows? That symbol might evolve over time. It might get a little bit bigger on the suit. Who knows? But I personally don't mind it being a bit smaller on the suit because it signifies that version of Spider-Man. What was your reaction when you found out that Sony was canceling Spider-Man 4 for the Amazing Spider-Man? Honestly, I was bummed out because I was like, man, it would have been cool to have had, Toby would have had like one more film under his belt. But when Amazing Spider-Man was announced, I was like, okay, I'm gonna give it a chance. I want to see what Andrew Garfield is gonna do. And I like Andrew Garfield, Spider-Man. Granted, there's some things with his version that could have been better. Could have been better. But I still like Andrew's version of Spider-Man. I like Toby's version of Spider-Man. I think both of them have, things that you can like, even through some of the things that may not have been good, like Spider-Man 3 with the Venom stuff. There might have been some missed opportunities in those films, but I think both actors came in and they did what they needed to do to make it necessary, and they were dedicated to the roles. They're very dedicated to Spider-Man, and you could tell that in the interviews when people ask them like, "Hey, are you going to be in Doomsday? Hey, are you going to be in Secret Wars?" They're very dedicated to those roles, and you know, Andrew Garfield actually said in an interview a while ago, actually not a while ago, like recently, about he would love to be in the Spider Verse movies. Like he loves what Phil Lord and Chris Miller are doing with the Spider Verse films. So who knows? He did technically have a little bit of a cameo scene in Across the Spider Verse. So it would be cool to see him and like Toby, kind of show up as animated versions of their characters and Beyond the Spider Verse. Will that happen? I don't know. Um, we shall see on that. Caden, what's up? Welcome to the stream. Welcome, man. I hope we see Martin Lee in Brand New Day. I hope so too. Mr. Negative would be great. And you got to get Stephen O. Young. You got to get Stephen O. Young. You got to get him. That is the guy for Martin Lee. Not because he just played them in the games, but you can tell his passion for wanting to play the character in live action. And I hope that he can have that dream happen because I can't think of another actor who would fulfill that role like he would. I mean, his performance in the Insomniac games speaks for itself, and this would be technically he would be the second actor on board to play the same character twice because now you have the actor of Tombstone, like it was mentioned earlier. He voiced the character in Into the Spider-Verse. Now he's playing the actual character in live action. You can do the same thing with Martin Lee. He's voiced the characters in the Insomniac games and done the motion capture work, all that stuff. Then you can have him as an actual actor in within the live action universe. So, you know, they can do it. If Marvel Disney won't revive Spider-Man the animated series for more episodes, they could bring back Christopher Daniel Barnes' Spider-Man X-Men 97 season 2 to tell what happened at least. I mean, they could. You know, now that you bring that up, I had this idea. And this is like an idea that I just had randomly thought about. How would you guys feel about a Spider-Man 98 film? Like a theatrical Spider-Man 98 film. And I know some people say like a Spider-Man 98 film, would that even sell in theaters? Yes, one because it's Spider-Man, and two because this is something that people have wanted a continuation, and three, the reason why I say that is because if the movie is really, really well received, this could be their back door for Marvel, to greenlight Spider-Man 98 to come back if they want to. Just test it out as a movie first, put it out in theaters, and let the people decide. Do they want to continue? Would they want to continue this story? Is this something that people want? And then go from there. You know, I'm not a fan of the spider logo for Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 2 suit. Yeah, looks way too much like a superhero suit. I prefer the Spider-Man 1 logo. Yeah, I like the Spider-Man 1 logo a little bit better, but Spider-Man 2, the movie, I mean, it's great. It's great. A film would be great, but they would have to show all the different quantum universes Spider-Man has to go through to find Mary Jane. Yeah, that is true. It almost makes you wonder, hmm, could we see him in Beyond the Spider-Verse? Because if he's going through time, I would imagine he had to go through time through the Spider-Verse. Because technically we saw the Spider-Verse in the original series. We saw the creation of it, we saw how it started. So having that kind of come back and then say, like, yeah, he's been traveling the Spider-Verse um to some degree. All I would have to do is just mention that, have him come in for a scene in Beyond the Spider-Verse, and there you go, you know? When could we get a trailer for Lantern series? I don't know. That's a really good question. They did say that Lanterns is set to come out, in early 2026, but we don't know as far as when early 2026. I don't think they wanted to put it out in March because March is going to be packed. You got Daredevil Born Again season 2, you got Invincible season 4 in March. So March is already going to be a packed month. So I don't even know if they even want to bother to put it in March cuz that's just too much. I'd say February might be good cuz I don't think anything's coming out in February, at least not to my knowledge. I mean, they could put it out in January. I mean, but then Wonder Man comes out in January, so I don't know. April, maybe April. I don't think anything comes out in April. But as far as a trailer, I mean, maybe at the maybe towards January, maybe we get a trailer for Lanterns. I don't know. I wish I knew how the trailers and stuff worked, like how many days until they release a trailer. I'm sure there's some kind of specific details out there. I'm worried that a theatrical film would not have enough time to show all the universe and tell the story they want to tell. That's fair. Um I wonder like I mean they could do like a excuse me. They could do like a mini series. You know how they did like the I Am Groot shorts, but instead of it being like 10 to 3 minute shorts, they do like 15-minute, maybe 15-minute shorts where it's just him traveling through different parts of the quantum, uh, the multiverse and stuff to find MJ. I don't know if that's what they want to do, but I mean that would be kind of a cool idea. Unpopular opinion, I'm not a big fan of 90s Spider-Man design because the character looks way too buff and realistic. That's fair. That's fair. For me personally, like I like buff Spider-Man, like not too buff, obviously, but like for me, the perfect like design for Spider-Man is still John Romita Sr. I still think John Romita Sr. to me locked down the perfect blend of fit but also buff at the same time. Like he's muscular. Like the way he drew Spider-Man is very fit, but he's very muscular at the same time. I think sometimes certain artists they draw Spider-Man too skinny or too lean or like you mentioned too buff. But to me, I think John Romita Sr. What's his name? Marco Chehetto, who does the Ultimate Comics. I think he draws Spider-Man pretty on key of like what I would imagine his frame will look like. Um, so yeah. For example, if they revive the series, I would like to see Peter and Madam Web go to like Spider-Man 2099's universe, and maybe they're looking for Mary Jane. Peter has to help Miguel O'Hara. That would be interesting. That would be interesting with the mission of his own. Solomon, what's up? Welcome to the stream. Michael, you said, I hoped Hasbro would have revealed a Marvel Legends figure for Channing Tatum's Gambit during New York Comic Con, but they didn't. I hope they do it at the MCM London Comic Con. I'm surprised they didn't do that either. I know they did release a toy like before we got our first look at what the updated design for Apocalypse. I saw that there was a toy. Um, they had shown like toy merch for Apocalypse's new design for X-Men 97. So I was like, wait a minute, is that gonna be the new design? And sure enough, that was the new design. So I can't wait for Apocalypse. Like there's so much that the screenshots that I did see from the trailer that got out, there's so much that they're going to do with Apocalypse that I'm just like, okay, I really need to know like where is this story going to go? Like how far are they going to take it? Like how deep into the apocalypse of it all are they going to go? Maybe Christopher Daniel Barnes, Spider-Man would help Miguel O'Hara on a mission against the Alchemax Corporation. That is possible. You give some really good ideas, Daniel. So, like, how if you were to sit down and pitch like an idea for this, if it was like a series, like a mini series, like how many episodes would you do? Like, would you do like 5 episodes, 8 episodes, 12 episodes? For it, let me know. Yeah, it has been a minute since I've been live. I've been so busy with work and just other stuff going on in my life right now that I haven't really been able to stream. I try to do videos as much as I can, but I there's times where I'm like, man, it would have been cool to stream this day. It would have been cool to stream that day when we had some news. Uh, so yeah, Hasbro didn't reveal any figures during the brand panel. Interesting. I wonder why they didn't do that. I wonder why they didn't do that. Then in the next episode, Spider-Man and Madam Web go to the Spider-Man Noir universe. That would be awesome. There was a Spider-Man show where Spider-Man was traveling to other universes. Yeah, I mean that is a really cool concept. I just know that there's going to be certain small majority of people who are like, "Oh, great. Here we go with more Spider-Verse shenanigans." People are kind of getting Spider-Verse fatigued. I'm not getting Spider-Verse fatigued personally. I mean, yeah, like it's great to, have all the different heroes and I mean, yeah, it's great that we have it, but I also at the same time I do understand people wanting more Spider-Man stories. So, hopefully, Marvel will try to do more solo Spider-Man stories with just the other Spider-Verse characters for a while. And then if they need to come back for some kind of big, grand villain, whoever it is, whoever they create, have them come back and team up again. Well, we got Venom and You're Familiar with Spider-Man season 2. Yep. That's been confirmed. How do you guys feel about that? Did you guys see that coming with the finale? How do you guys feel that they're gonna take Venom in season 2? Like I said, I know the Eddie Brock fans are on their knees right now, just like in Spider-Man 3, in the church, just praying that it's Eddie Brock. Um, will it be Eddie Brock? That's something we'll have to see again. Um, but yeah. There's, like, some other stuff in there too that they had, like, mentioned. Actually, I could probably show it now. Maybe not show it on screen, but, like, I can go through the trailer for season 2 of, Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. So obviously Venom will be introduced. Peter Parker, he's gonna return back to Oscorp. He's gonna find the symbiote. And obviously Norman Osborn, he's gonna be returning. And then we did get like a little bit of information on Gwen Stacy. So apparently Gwen Stacy is gonna be stealing stuff and sneaking into Oscorp. So maybe even Gwen Stacy is either working at Oscorp now or she's suspicious of Oscorp. But her and Peter, it looks like they're going to be friends. We got Venom, yeah. I would pitch a 12 episode series showing Spider Man, Madam Web looking for Mary Jane. I don't know if people would want the patience to watch anymore in this day and age, the days of 22 episodes. I mean, I'd say bring back the days of 22 episodes. Bring those back because I feel like that's something that's very missing and lacking with streaming. Every show now has like 10 episodes, 12 episodes at the highest. I think it's okay if we have a season that has just 22 episodes or 30 episodes. Bring those back. There's nothing wrong with that, you know? Favorite MCU Captain America suit? It would have to be the Winter Soldier suit. That's my favorite. So the suit in Captain America Winter Soldier, that's my favorite Captain America suit. But I'll give you another good one that I like. I actually like Sam's suit and Falcon in the Winter Soldier, like at the end. My only problem is that they had just a little bit too much white in the suit. Like if they had just a little, and I know granted that's how his suit looks in the comics, so don't hate me on that. But I think they needed just a blue stripe like on the shoulders, I guess. Um, but I'd say that one's like my second favorite Captain America suit. Yeah, I already saw Venom coming in Your Feeling of Spider-Man. Yeah, you just kind of based off of like the tease of at the end of season one. It seemed like that's what they were leading to. Now the question is that I want to ask you: will we get a symbiote suit for Peter, or is that something that they're gonna hold off in season three? Because personally, I think that's something they should hold off for season three, because then you can kind of tease some things with that. And who knows what they may do? They may do something different. Peter might not be the first one to get the symbiote this time. It could be Gwen. That would change things up a bit because, obviously Gwen has gotten the symbiote before in the comics. So if they wanted to do that, they could do that. Um, but we shall see. I want Eddie Brock to be Venom's host in season two. It could be Eddie Brock, but I was thinking it's Flash Thompson. Yeah, we haven't really seen Flash Thompson yet in that universe. So, honestly, it could be. It could be either one, but I know most people want it to be Eddie Brock. And I think it's possible. And the reason why I say it's possible is because if you guys checked out my video, towards the end of that, the trailer that was shown, Robbie Robertson was mentioned to be shown in the trailer. And for those of you who know, Robbie Robertson works at the Daily Bugle. Who else works at the Daily Bugle? Eddie Brock. It just kind of lines up, right? It lines up. It kind of makes sense that it could be Eddie Brock, but I don't know. I don't want to put that out there just in case if it's not. But it's possible. Could be him. I think the most evil Norman Osborn is the PS5 game. Well, we haven't really seen the PS5 version yet. I mean, he could be, but we haven't really seen him go into his full on craziness yet. Now, when Spider Man 3 comes out, it's a couple years away. I'm sure we'll see his evilness ensue for sure. But how far is he going to go? There was a Spider-Man that traveled into the Spider-Man Noir universe, and I don't know why, but I thought it was funny when a Gray Hulk was the Hulk of the Spider-Man Noir universe. That definitely makes sense. That lines up. That lines up for sure. Or maybe it's Matt. Could be Matt Gargan. He's been the host in the comics. That is also true. Scorpion is also one of the characters set to return for season 2. I can actually the list right here. So obviously returning characters we have Norman Osborn, Harry Osborn, Lonnie Lincoln, Nico Monaro, Scorpion, Doc Ock, Daredevil, Finesse, Amadeus Cho can also be in that list due to Alex Lee, which shout out to Alex Lee. He's the voice of Daredevil in Marvel Rivals. So shout out to him. I saw a picture of him and Charlie Cox at New York Comic Con, so that was really cool. We know that he's going to be in season 2 based off of him, saying that season 2 is going to be more grander and things of that nature. It's going to be a tragic story from what he said. So a lot of the characters that we saw in season 1 are going to return. Chameleon and things like that. So um, it's just a matter of how they're gonna play into the story. I want to see villains like Hydra Man and Boomerang. Well, Hydra Man would be really cool. Hydra Man would be really cool. Now, Boomerang is a possibility, but I don't know for right now. And the reason why I say that is because rumor on the street is Boomerang might be one of the villains we may see in Brand New Day. Now, granted, that doesn't mean that they can't use him in Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, but from what I could tell, it seems like they don't want to try to use the same villains from simultaneously at the same time because they don't want to confuse people. Not, not that it would confuse people, but I know for like casual audiences, they would kind of see it as um you know, at the same time. Because if you guys remember the interview when I asked about Big Will, uh, Jeff didn't really say too much about Big Will. So I don't know. Could Big Will be someone we see in another future movie or something? I don't know. I don't know. I like how they make us, the audience, hate Norman Osborn in the first Spider-Man game, but at the same time sympathize with him when his son is dying. Yeah, I mean his son is dying and he's on his deathbed, only for him to get the symbiote and then have a sort of a temporary cure. It's not a full cure, but a temporary cure for Harry. And then he's kind of like, you know, his son's there, but also at the same time, it's kind of like Norman just doesn't care because you don't really see him really spend time with his son. And I mean, that's just Norman and Harry Osborn's relationship through and through. You know what I mean? Like, Norman's just, I don't have time for you, son. You're a nuisance to me. And he says that to him in the comics like all the time, especially like the Silver Age comics. Norman Osborn is ruthless. Like he was straight up telling like Harry Osborn, like, hey, I don't even know why you here right now, but you getting on my nerves. I gotta make money. Um, it's just like, wow. Like, imagine telling your own son that. Like, imagine telling your own son and saying those things to him. Like that's really gotta hurt. Oh my god, I hope we see Mr. Fix It Grey Hulk in season 2 of X-Men 97. Grey Hulk is awesome. I hear he's not as strong as the OG Green Hulk, but I think that rumor. It would be cool to see Grey Hulk. I just don't know if they are going to do that. I mean, it would, but something that would be cool is if Grey Hulk shows up in the Wolverine game. because people have been wanting Hulk versus Wolverine for years. Um, and just imagine like a mission in that game where you're fighting either it could either be regular Hulk or Gray Hulk. You know what I mean? Um, just that fight alone would just be a great experience for that game. So who knows? But Hulk would be pretty cool. Does Miles in Across the Spider Verse look 15 to you? No, he looks like older. Like to me, Miles looks 17. At least in Across, he does. Miles looks 17. But then again, puberty works differently for people, right? Um, because there's some people who, you grew up in high school. There's some people who are 15, but they look like they're 17, just based off of the height, their facial structure, all those things, right? So, um, that is the power of puberty for you. I just think Miles just had a very early growth stage where he looks more 17 than he does 15. Is Big Don coming back? He won't be happy to see Tombstone being in charge of his old gang. I think we could see Donovan back. I think we will see Donovan back. I think he's like you said, he's not going to be too thrilled to see that Tombstone is taking over his old gang. But then also, I feel like with this stuff with Scorpion, I don't think that's done. I really don't think that's done. If we get a fight between Daredevil and Lonnie Lincoln, who's winning? Because Lonnie is less skilled than the original Tombstone. Definitely Daredevil. Daredevil's got that, which they did say that Daredevil in the trailer, apparently this time the positions have changed. So he wore the black suit in the first season. Now he's going to be wearing the red suit in the second season. While in Daredevil season 2, he's going to be wearing the black suit this time around. Which I did see that image. I don't know if you guys saw that image that they released, even though I had saw some set photos a while back of the suit. Still pretty cool they released an official image of the suit, the black suit. And he finally has the D's, the double D's on the suit. Finally. I'm so glad they finally gave them to him. So hopefully, and you're familiar with Spider-Man season 2 when he's got the red suit, he's got the double D's on, you know? Um Yeah, I don't even know why Norman Osborn didn't just wear protection if he didn't want Harry. Yeah, like really, like he was just saying all kinds of like rude stuff to Harry, like in the comics and stuff. And it's like you feel for Harry, and you understand why at the first beginning when Peter first met Harry, they bumped heads. They weren't friends at first. They did not like each other at all. But it took by the time when they did the reveal for Green Goblin that Norman Osborn was Green Goblin. Because at this time, around that time, Stan Lee and everybody involved, they wanted to have Norman Osborn, Green Goblin's secret identity or who Green Goblin actually was. They wanted to keep that a secret. So they did as much as they could to keep it a secret until when Steve Ditko left, which Steve Ditko really didn't want the identity of Green Goblin to ever be revealed. But Stan Lee, he wanted there to be some kind of twist. So that's why, at least to my knowledge, that's why Norman Osborn ended up being the person. But I think when you kind of go back and read those comics, you can kind of put two and two together to kind of be like, okay, well, this could be Norman Osborn because the person that they were hiding, they were always wearing green. They were always wearing some kind of green clothing, some kind of green suits. And Norman Osborn, I mean, he wears a lot of green, so it just made sense. Um, but still, that reveal was such a big moment for, Spider-Man because the way they did it, it was just like, wow, like this is the guy. Like, and just that panel of just Peter just shocked when Norman unmasks himself for the first time as Green Goblin. It's just priceless. Um, but yeah. Do we even know who Harry Osborn's mom is? I don't know too much, like I said, about his mom, but I think his mom has been mentioned before, just not much. They don't talk about his mom much. Now, in the game in Spider-Man 2, he does mention his mom a few times in the game. What happened to his mom? His mom got health declined, and so she passed away. Um, but as far as like the comics, at least to my knowledge, I don't really know what happened to his mom. It could be maybe sort of the same scenario. It's said that Otto Octavius became evil because he wants to destroy Norman, which I don't blame, and wanting to destroy Osborn because Norman is selfish. Yeah, and you know, they kind of tease that with even your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, just that friendship turned enemy, frenemies, right? Because they were friends, they were working together, but then Norman made it about himself. He betrayed his friend. And Otto, he's just kind of broken about it because it's like, man, like I trusted you. I thought we were gonna be in this together, only for you to go behind my back and steal my ideas. And now you're taking credit for the ideas I came up with. That would upset any person. Now, I don't know, granted, if people would go as far as to do some of the things that Otto has done, but obviously that would upset any person. Like, you betrayed me. You're my friend. How dare you do that, you know? Which in the trailer, by the way, speaking of Doc Ock, he did escape from prison. So we are gonna see him make his great escape, which I'm sure that scene is gonna be fun. Because the scene that they had with him dancing in the warehouse with the octopus arms, if they do a scene similar to that in season two, I think that would be cool. Which I didn't even know that Hugh Dancy is the voice of Otto Octavius in that. I knew his voice sounded familiar, and the reason why I said that is because I watch Law and Order sometimes, and one day he made a voice similar to Otto Octavius in one of the episodes, and I was like, "Wait a minute. Where have I heard this voice before?" Then I went and I looked up his name and I saw that it is Hugh Dancy who voices him in the show. And I was like, okay, now I know where I've heard him before. Now I know where I've heard his voice before. So shout out to Hugh Dancy for that. Maybe Norman was treating Harry like that because he lost the love of his life. Harry's mom. Yeah, that also could play a part of it too, because I don't know if they really touched on it, at least in the comics that I know of. But I don't know if they really touched on fully, like again, like his mom, or you know, um, like the relationship between his mom and Norman, right? That would be cool as a little comic series that they could do. Because obviously, you know, people always kind of wonder about the mystery of like Peter's parents, like what happened to him. His parents, like obviously some people may know that his parents, they, died in a plane crash and things like that, but um they don't really go too much into detail about that past stuff. So I think it would be cool if Marvel did like a series, like a comic book series, where they go back in time and kind of tell the story, like the full story of like Peter's mom and dad, and then kind of leading us into Amazing Fantasy 15. I don't know if they'll ever do that though, but that would be a cool idea. Harry's a voice actor for You're Friendly with Spider-Man, voiced Randy Robertson in the 2017 Spider-Man cartoon. Oh, you're talking about Zeno Robinson. Oh yeah, he's goaded. He's in a lot of stuff. He's been voice acting for a good while. So shout out to him. He's in there's like a series, a web series on Instagram and stuff that I see. I believe it's on YouTube too. And it's like it's about being in a comic book store. Maybe you guys have seen that, but he's made like an appearance, I think, in that show, or I think he is in that web series. It's really good from what I've seen. I also don't blame Martin Lee to destroy Norman because, again, Norman is a selfish person and he does use people as tools. Yeah, he does. Norman Osborn is someone who, and by any means necessary, no matter the cost, he doesn't care about who he hurts. As long as he can get As long as he can get what he wants out of whatever the situation is, that's all that matters. I feel like they're going to do something big with Peter's dad. Oh yeah, for sure. I mentioned it before and I'll mention it again, but when they showed Peter's dad, I jumped out of my bed. I was in bed watching the episode and that finale, like the last like the last like 5 to 6 minutes of that episode is just like, oh my goodness. Like they're setting up so much stuff within that episode, within the next season. And this is why I don't want to be that person, but that's why to me the finale of Peacemaker season 2 is such it's disappointing to me because the granted to me the season of Peacemaker was good. It was slow, yes, but it was good. But I feel like with the finale, I feel like they were doing all of these like it first off, they hyped up the episode saying, "Oh man, this is gonna be the biggest, grandest episode. This is gonna tie directly into Man of Tomorrow." Which now, after watching the episode and getting a little bit more context as to why that's being said, but to me, as opposed to Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, where you get a conclusion, but at the same time, you get things that line you up for the next season. Nico getting in touch with her powers, trying to get in touch with her mom. Norma Osborn, not Norma Osborn. Norma Osborn finding the symbiote. Harry Osborn and Peter, starting the web. And you seeing all of the Marvel, some Marvel, names that are very interesting on that board that Harry has. Tombstone, you got Lonnie, his arc, Peter's dad, which voiced by the Josh Keaton himself. Shout out to Josh Keaton. Um, they just set up so much within that small time frame, and it just to me that's how you do a finale. That's how you do a finale. Not like with Peacemaker season 2 where yeah, you set up checkmate, you set up, the salvation stuff, which is cool. But did we really need a whole music video for the theme song? Now, granted, that's fine. But I think the placement of it was just not in the right place. I feel like they could have done that a little bit towards the end of the episode as opposed to in the placement that they put it. So that's why I felt the way I felt about the finale because it could have been attempted better. But I don't hate Peacemaker season 2. It just had some very slow moments. Spider-Man freshman year, friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, Norman Osborn sounds like a lot like Willem Dafoe. Well, that is my friend. God, what's his name? His name is right on the tip of my tongue. Ah, you guys know what I'm talking about. Very talented actor. Very talented actor. Let me look him up. Coleman Domingo. Ugh. Coleman Domingo. There we go. That's his name. I don't know why I was stuck on that name. But Coleman Domingo, man, he a very talented actor. I've seen him in so many different things. So I was so glad that they got him because at first my casting was Giancarlo Esposito because to me just the design of Norman Osborn, how they drew him, to me looked a lot like Giancarlo Esposito. But then when they announced Coleman Domingo, I'm like, okay, this is even better. Like this guy, he can really bring some intensity to Norman Osborn. And from the scenes of the first season, I see it. You know what I mean? I see it and I feel it. I feel the foundation being built. Like that scene with him and Otto in the prison, great. Like the back and forth between those two is just great. And again, you can feel the intensity. You can feel that the tension wrapping up in that scene. They might have Peter's spouse become a villain and make Peter fight his own pops. That could be something. That could be a different twist. Isn't Scott Summers' great grandparents aliens, if I'm not mistaken? I think the Summers root comes from space. His dad is a his dad because they had the episode in the original X-Men the anime series with his dad. But completely forgot what his dad was, but I know his dad is in space. Who could Peter end up with in Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man? Nico, Pearl, Gwen, or someone else? I That's tough because I'm a Peter and Nico shipper, okay? I like Peter and Nico. Their bond in the first season, granted they had a falling off because of the whole Spider-Man stuff, but I really like their friendship. But I could also see them being more than just friends, just based off of how they interact with each other. And I feel like they've known each other a lot longer just due to the first episode, the events of the first episode, what happened. To me, I feel like they have much more of a chemistry. So for me, I'm going with Nico and Peter. Pearl is Pearl is the one that Peter wants, but Nico is the one that Peter, in my opinion, needs. Um, Again, just based off of like I said, what we've seen so far between the two. Gwen, I think Gwen could just be like a friend, just like an adversary, just someone that's there. Someone else, though. Now, if they wanted to introduce Mary Jane, I think give a slow burn for Mary Jane. Don't make it an instant thing where he wants Mary Jane all of a sudden. Make it a slow burn, right? So what if Nico gets a little bit too far into the magic of it all? Maybe she's just too far gone. Then okay, maybe you can kind of slide in, Mary Jane and kind of have that going. But right now, I think Nico and Peter, to me, that should be where things are. But again, that's just my opinion. Thoughts on What If? I'm not the biggest fan of What If. I've stayed this many times before. I never really liked What If. The animation style to me, the storytelling just is very limited. Because when I think of the concept What If, I think of just going all out, right? Like each world or each story should have its own like theme and style. So I just feel like the what if concept was just very limited due to it having some connections to the MCU. Um if What If had been like a X-Men 97 or Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man scenario where it's not connected to the MCU timeline, adjacent, but it has certain same events that the MCU has, but maybe does a different twist on them, then that I'm all for. But I think them limiting it to just, you know, certain events that happen within the movies, I'm not really a fan of that. The only episodes I liked of What If are the T'Challa Star-Lord episode and the Doctor Strange episode. Those are the only 2 episodes to me that I enjoyed. And then, like, Marvel Zombies, right? It's kind of the same scenario for Marvel Zombies. Um, Blade Knight was the best thing of that show, in my opinion. Kamala Khan, too, I'll give Kamala Khan her credit, too. I really like Kamala Khan in here. I think, what's her name? Iman Vellani, she should do more voice acting because she has the chops for it. Um, so if they want to greenlight a Miss Marvel animated series, I would love to see that personally, and have Iman Vellani voice the character because the way she the way she brought, you know, to me, her the way she did the character to me in that series, you rooted for her. You're rooting for her character. So yeah. Do you know Tony J? I don't know Tony J. I like What If. Yeah, like some people, we all have different tastes. Some people are gonna like What If, some people are not. Some people are gonna feel indifferent on it. I just feel like What If is an interesting concept, but I think the execution to me is where things kind of fall. But there's some things in there from What If that I do like. There are some little moments in there that I do appreciate. So it's not all bad. Nah, Peter's gonna end up with Nico for sure. I was thinking he was going to end with Pearl. I mean, you could go either way because I mean, technically, Pearl has known Peter a lot longer than Nico because Pearl used to babysit Peter. We learned that in the first episode. Um, so it's possible. So Scott's dad is an alien. I gotta look back up on that because I've completely forgotten. I read up on his dad, but I've completely forgotten. But I remember from the X-Men the animated series, they had an episode where his dad showed up in there. Is that was like a storyline they had going on at the time. Let's see what you saying. Did you know that Mark Hamburg would be a great Green Goblin and Norman Osborn? Mark Hamburg. Let me look that up. Let's search up actor. I'm looking up Mark Hamburg, but I'm only getting two. Oh, I'm looking up Mark Hamburg, but I'm only getting like two up here. One, Mark Hamburg from Otto and the Magical Vacuum Cleaner, and then two, he's an ESPN college. He was an ESPN college basketball Gold Cup. I don't think that's him. Does he go by another name? Oh, Hamill. That's who you meant, Mark Hamill. You said okay, so Scott's dad, he's human. He just became captain of the alien crew called the Starjammers. Okay, now okay. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to do my due diligence and do some research on Scott's dad. Who knows? Maybe we may see Scott's dad make a return in season two. That would be interesting. Yeah, Mark Hamill. I mean, he would make a good Joker. I mean, good Joker. He would make an interesting Norman Osborn. A good Joker. He's already Joker. What am I talking about? Oh wow, this is really cool. I don't know if I can show you guys this or not. Hold on a minute. This is really cool. I just saw this just scrolling around on Twitter, and this came up, and I'm gonna show it to you guys because I think this is pretty cool. And by the way, this is from Leonardo Romero. Some of you may know him as the character artist for Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, but someone had shared this, and I thought this is a really cool cover. So I'm gonna share this with you guys. There you go. I don't know if you guys can see it. I might have to zoom in a little bit. Sorry, I can't zoom in. But yeah, pretty cool. You got Kingpin on the side here. You got, I think it looks like Gwen. You got Flash here. Harry in the on the background there. Um, Mary Jane right here. Obviously Spidey. Looks like we're gonna get um looks like they made a reference to Spider-Man No More right here with the trash can with the suit and Craven in there. You got Vulture right there. So really cool. I love Leonardo Romero's work. He just has a great balance of John Romita Sr., just that vintage like silver age comics feel to his like art. So yeah, I'm always like up his work and stuff. So pretty cool. Pretty cool. And X-Men 97, Ross Marquardt doesn't just voice Xavier. He also voices Apocalypse and Doctor Doom. Yes, yeah, I actually did a video talking about he had talked about X-Men 97 being like dark. This season's going to be very dark. Um and stuff. So, I'm very much looking forward to hearing what his performance is going to be like in season 2. I mean, he's great. He's a phenomenal voice actor. He's been, in the game for a long time, and I know he's gonna kill it. He's gonna kill it with Apocalypse and obviously Doctor Doom as well. I didn't even know he voiced Doctor Doom. So hmm, Doctor Doom versus the X-Men. Obviously, you can't do that right now because they're doing that with Doomsday right now, but maybe that's something they could do down the road. Ross Marquand was also Red Skull in Avengers Infinity War, Endgame, and What If. He was. So, yeah, he's been with Marvel for years. Talented, very talented, very talented that guy is. I would love to do an interview with him. I think that would be pretty cool. He doesn't voice past version of Apocalypse in Ancient Egypt, though. Yeah, they probably definitely got a Egyptian actor to voice that character, which is cool because again, that's on par with the history of and the culture of the character too. But yeah, I don't know if you guys have anything else that you would like to talk about. I'm probably gonna end the stream in a little bit because it's almost about 2 hours and I haven't taken a nap today, and it's like nighttime over here anyway. So um, I'm probably gonna rest up when I get off. How come some of the original 90s X-Men voice actors were given new roles instead of old ones? Maybe they just felt like they couldn't perform the roles like they used to. So instead of just being like, just leave them on the sidelines, they said, "You know what? Let's just bring them back as other characters." It still gives them something to do, so they're still involved. They may not be this voicing the same characters, but they still have an involvement with the series. I think that's probably why they decided to do that. Have you played Spider-Man PS1 game? Yes, I've played it many, 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 many times. So yes, I have. I might do that once I get a good gaming system, a good PlayStation 5. I'm still working on that. But once I do, we might have to stream some games. I don't know if I'm gonna stream them over here though. I might. I could stream them on Twitch. Just depends. Gambit's original voice actor voices Cable now, and Cable's original voice actor voices Executioner. Yeah, it might just be a case where they probably had auditions and they had already chosen the people that they wanted for to voice the characters, and then they just decide, well, we kind of want to bring back some of the original voice cast. Well, they said, well, you can just have them do different roles. So that's probably why, like I said, they probably are voicing different characters, because I'm pretty sure they had the casting maybe some time before they decide to bring back some of the original cast. I don't know. I don't know how all that works. Maybe that's a question I'll have to ask Erica, Julia, Lee Wald, or maybe someone else on the X Men crew. Um, because I would love to, get some of the voice actors, do an interview with them. Like, would be really cool. The PS1 Spider-Man game is fire. It is. But out of the three, Miles Morales is my favorite. And the reason why I say Miles Morales is my favorite is just because of the setting. The setting of it, um, just all that stuff, right? You know, the Christmas of it all, the snow when you're swinging in the city, just really beautiful. Um, so for me, Miles Morales, that's like my favorite of the three games that they've released. Now, if we see a mutant make an appearance in Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, that would be cool. Actually, a mutant actually is teased on one of the names from Harry Osborn on the board, on the whiteboard. I just don't remember which one of them it is. Actually, I think I have the screenshot of that somewhere. So let me see if I can find it. I know I took a screenshot of that scene too. Okay, I did. Can I share my screen for that window? Okay, can you guys see that? I don't know if you guys can see that or not, but let me know if you can. So these are all the names we have right here of all the people on that board, right? Scott Forbes, I don't think Scott Forbes is anyone. I think Scott Forbes works on the show. Max Dillon, on the other hand, that is Electro. So we got Electro. Obviously, we got Jean right here, who's Finesse. Leanne DeFore. Leanne DeFore. I think that might be someone who works on the show. Leanne DeFore. Yeah, she's a yeah. Okay, yeah, she's someone that works on the show. Then we have Ty. I think Ty Miranda might be someone that works on the show as well. Then I'm gonna make sure Ty Miranda, Marvel. No, okay, Ty Miranda. So Ty Miranda, Tiana Miranda is the youngest sister of Lexi Miranda. Okay, who is she though? Apparently, she has some relation to Wasp, but I don't know the full thing there. I'm sure some of you guys probably know. Amy Choi, who is Amy Choi? Amy Choi. I think that might be someone. Amy Choi, Marvel. Okay, that's someone who works on the art department. Uh, yeah, but one of these names, I don't remember which one. One of these names is a mutant character. I just don't remember which one. That's the only thing. I just don't remember which one it is, but it's one of them. If Gambit is the Horseman of Death, then who could be the other three horsemen? Hmm. I'm trying to think. What are some other characters that have died? I'm going to go back and rethink about X Men the Animated Series. Were there any characters in X Men the Animated Series that got pruned off the timeline that we just didn't see again? Because if there is, then that could maybe narrow down the list of characters that could be the other horsemen. Thoughts on MTV Spider Man? I don't really have any thoughts because I haven't watched it. I want to see Iceman and Quicksilver in X Men 97 season 2. Well, we did see a bit of like with Magneto on the boat in that dream sequence. We did see Wanda and Quicksilver on the boat there. And I know from the at the end of the season, they had the big board with all the characters on there. Iceman, I think Iceman was labeled. Was he labeled? No, Wanda was labeled off world, but I think Iceman was labeled missing, if I'm not mistaken. You're familiar with Spider-Man? He used a bunch of time skips recently. Yeah, I think it's just better that way to kind of keep the story going. So it's not something that happens in a matter of days. It happens in a matter of months. Just to kind of let the audience know that this is happening like months throughout. Is Quicksilver a good guy or a bad guy? He's a good guy. At least I'd like to think he's a good guy. I'm getting sleepy, y'all. But yeah, I'm probably gonna end the stream here. I had a great time talking with you guys about the Marvel stuff that we saw. Um, Katie, what's up, man? Had a crazy story. What's your story? I had a dream last night where you and I were hanging out watching Looney Tunes. We went to the theater. Pretty crazy stuff. That's cool. That's not a crazy story at all. That's not a crazy story at all. That sounds pretty cool. I don't like how they made Peter Parker too dorky and friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. I think really I don't even think Peter is just dork. I don't think he's dorky. He's just socially awkward. And really, in my opinion, I feel like Peter Parker has always been socially awkward. It's just that in other iterations, he's been more socially awkward on a different level of like because I mean if you read like Amazing Fantasy 15, right? Clearly Peter has some anger, and that's something that he deals with is anger. He has a lot of anger issues in the early days. And I think really what it is that he was more seclusive to himself then. And I think Peter Parker now, I wouldn't say they're trying to change him for the fact of that, but I think what they're doing now, in my opinion, is that I feel like would be honest. If they were to go the route of how he was in Amazing Fantasy 15, would you really want to root for him? You know what I mean? Granted, we rooted for him then, but would you really want to root for someone who he's very like he's very like all off to himself, but it's like he's more, in my opinion, stern, like very stern about things then. But now this Peter, he's more of like he can make jokes, he can laugh, he can hang with other people, and we saw that with Lonnie, right? He made the assumption that, oh, Lonnie, he's gonna be a jerk, or Lonnie's not gonna be this smart guy until he finds out that, yeah, Lonnie is very smart. He studies. He's obviously can fend for his own, right? And then Peter was like, okay, this guy's actually pretty cool, right? I think that was just letting you know that things aren't always what they seem. And I'm just glad they didn't go that whole route of, oh, I can't like this guy because he's dating the girl that I like. I've seen that so many times. That trope has been overdone so many times. I'm annoyed with that. So I'm so glad they didn't go that route. I'm glad they actually went the route of, okay, I don't know about this guy, you know, and then again, he meets him. Like it's not a thing where he's off to himself and he's having all these thoughts of like, oh, this guy, he's dating the girl that I like, and um so therefore I'm not gonna like him, and he's a jock. So, you know, that gives me even more of a reason not to like him. Like, I just don't think them going that route would have done it any favors, but the way they did it with him and Lonnie teaming for the project, and then them having that conversation, and then Peter having that moment of realization, like, wow, Lonnie is smart. He's actually a really cool guy. I prefer that. No, I actually think that Iceman is dead, so he could be one of the dead horsemen. That's a that's a good shout. So Gambit, Iceman, if we can think of two more other characters, I'm gonna have to go back and rewatch X-Men the animated series to see if there were any other characters that got pruned off the timeline. And then, like I said, that could maybe give us a team that we could come up with. You know what? Should that be a stream idea? Should we do a stream theorizing who the four horsemen are? Obviously, we know Gambit's going to be one of them, but we could do a whole stream theorizing who the other three could be. I think that would be a really cool stream. Hey Kendrick, what's up, man? What's up, man? Stopping by to show some love and support. I appreciate you coming by. I appreciate you coming by, showing all the love and support. If you guys have not, definitely go check out my buddy Kendrick. He does a lot of great art over there on his channel. He's done a lot of Marvel pieces, pop culture. He's done, Kill Bill, Hellboy, all kinds of just different art projects that he has going on. So go check him out. Go subscribe. Go, tell him, I sent you, and yeah, I think you guys would really enjoy his artwork. Thoughts on Kitty Pride? Kitty Pride is cool. I want to see Kitty Pride come in at some point. I actually think Kitty Pride, you know, depending upon what age Kitty Pride is in, the X-Men universe, I think it would be cool if Kitty Pride is younger in that universe, like younger than Jubilee, because now Jubilee could kind of be that next generation mentor for Kitty Pride. Because if there's anyone who could relate to Kitty Pride, it would be Jubilee, right? So I think that would be really cool to kind of build that dynamic up, because that's something we hadn't seen before. And again, that just adds more character elevation into Jubilee. which is what I feel like they were teasing with that episode. Although I know people feel like that Jubilee episode is a filler episode, I think the reason why they included that episode is because I think at some point Jubilee will have some kind of role where she is going to be the next generation's mentor because she knows about the next generation. She's more closer to the next generation than the other X-Men are. So she would know about the uncertainty, the feeling of all that. Not saying that the other older X-Men characters wouldn't, but I just think she would have more of that relatability dynamic just in that moment. So yeah, I think Mystique is dead too, but she could be a horseman. Yeah, that is also possible. Yeah, we're gonna have to, we're gonna have to do that four horseman stream. That's what we're gonna have to do. We're gonna have to do that. We're gonna have to decide who the four horseman team is going to be. I think that'll be really fun. Perfect Peace, welcome to the stream. I think Bastion is going to come back with Mr. Sinister, and they're going to be stronger than ever. I definitely see them returning. That's not going to be the last time we're going to see them. I think we're going to see them again. Um, it's just a matter of when. It's just a matter of when. So we shall see. But yeah, we've come to about 2 hours. I think we made pretty good time, pretty good conversation today. Pretty awesome. I'm so glad that I decided to stream today. I know I had a bit of technical difficulties at first, but we made it. We got through it in the end, and I'm so glad that we were able to. So I want to say thank you to everyone who came through tonight or today, whenever you watch this, whether you're watching it live or on the replay, whenever you watch it. I appreciate you coming through, listening, checking it out, all that good stuff. So before I go, I want to shout everybody out that came through today. Maceo, shout out to Maceo for coming through. Shout out to Freddie for coming through. Shout out to the last Duke the Legend, Michael. Shout out to let's see, go down the list. I don't want to miss anybody. Daniel's Hot Topics. Shout out to you for coming through. I see that you comment quite a lot. Shout out to my boy Carter. Shout out to you, always coming through. Let's see. I'm trying to make sure I don't miss anyone. Shout out to Caden. Also, Caden, your dream is not weird, by the way. I still think that's a pretty cool dream. I would go. I would hang out and watch Looney Tunes with you and go to the movies. I think that would be pretty cool. Shout out to Solomon coming through. It's been a while, man. So glad you were able to make it. I'm looking to see if there is anyone else. I don't think so. I think that is everybody. Nope. Shout out to Kendrick coming through, and shout out to Perfect Peace coming through. So I believe that is everybody. So yeah, awesome. I'll be back live next week. I'm gonna make sure I do. It's either gonna be Wednesday or Thursday, but more than likely Wednesday because I want to try to bring back the Wednesday streams because that's just more of a thing that I enjoy doing. So yeah, I appreciate everybody coming through. I hope you guys have a great day, a great week. Whenever you see this, um, let me know down below if you're in the replay. What was it you guys were most excited for? Could be Marvel animation, could be Marvel television related, or maybe some of the Marvel toys that was shown off at New York Comic Con. Whatever it is that brought you here or brought you, in excited for, the Marvel stuff at New York Comic Con, let me know. I would love to hear it. And I try my best to respond to you guys in the comments as much as I can. And yeah, so that is the end of the stream. Thank you guys so much. As I always say, if you guys have a dream, a goal, go for it, do it, do it better than anything you can ever imagine. And the right paths will lead you where you need to go. And when one door closes, another one will open. So, yeah, big love to you all, and peace out.